no carro, bicho. Um no dois no três, vou sarrando na PT. 4, 5, me tacar no carro, bicho. Um no dois no três, vou sarrando na PT. 4, 5.
Ew, hello, welcome to Indignant Desert Birds. I forgot who we were for a minute, Fletcher.
Yeah, so I guess we're just going to go right into it. We just wanted to, this is too much fire, so we weren't going to go into it.
We've just been fighting about this today.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I will submit to the chair the information that I have.
Discovery.
I think innovation is going to be the key to public health.
So these people don't want to hear
And
the
we
truth. They
have a
keep cutting
unique
him off.
opportunity now in history because of AI, because of telemedicine, and because of the quality of people that are now coming to HHS to actually save public health. But it's all going to rely on innovation. And I don't want to do anything that inhibits or impairs the pace of innovation.
That's right. He's right.
That's encouraging.
Right,
From
that's
approving
encouraging.
AI algorithms to determining Medicare coverage, we certainly need
Although
more
we really
innovation.
shouldn't rely
We
too
need
much
good
on
people
AI.
in the
Everybody's pushing this AI
department,
narrative.
to assist with that effort.
I
So
agree.
I'll
It
follow
still
up with a question
requires
about how you're going to attract and
humans.
retain
That's
good
crazy.
people. Thank you, Chairman.
I'll be
Sorry to shut you down a little faster than I did the others, Senator Young. We are up against
Yeah. Stay with it, Fletcher.
the vote deadline here, and we have one more senator who gets his full time. I hope you'll keep it as close to 5 minutes as you can, Senator Welch. And then I've promised Senator Wyden, 5 more minutes?
To be divided 1 minute with my colleagues getting one.
And then if we can do that, we can get over to vote before they call the vote on the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. And as you know, I'm a big, have great reverence for.
Can you hear it now, Ursula?
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah,
When I got out of college, I was in the first class of Robert Kennedy Fellows, the memorial created by.
So
your
this
family
is
to
just,
honor
I feel
the
so
service
good
of
about
Father
your
of the community
family, but you got to
organizing
focus
in,
on him.
Is in West Side of Chicago. And I certainly admire your energy in your effort here and desire to
There's
serve.
the guy next to him that was
there's
causing
a
so much
couple of
trouble, that
things
black
that are
guy.
really important here.
Isn't
This
that
is not
Van
just about
Jones
a
or
debate
something?
on vaccines.
I don't
It's a
know, but
debate
to me, he was
about,
showing off.
qualifications, experience.
He's an
and
intelligent man,
priorities
but he's full of
as
it.
to the person that will head Health and Human Services. And it's not just about what your answers are today or what the questions are. It obviously has a lot to do with your whole record and your whole history. Your sister in her letter, or pardon me, your cousin in her letter said, you've always been charismatic, able to attract others through the strength of your personality, willingness to take risk and break rules. That's, I guess, an attribute, but it can be a danger. The question I fundamentally have.
She didn't
is
help
whether,
him by writing that.
Your just willingness to disrupt
Probably
and
secret-
maybe break rules is going to be
secretly
dangerous
trying
and
to hurt him.
destructive.
Because they're mad that he changed from Democrat to
Character
Republican
questions we
anyway.
didn't go into here, but there's some sketchy
Yeah,
things you've
I mean,
acknowledged your history with.
She's not helping
heroin.
him with
You've
that.
gotten over that.
She put out a.
but
She's put
there's
out
incidents
a.
that
We can
do,
check it out.
I
She
think,
put out
concern
a
the
statement.
question of whether the stability is there to be in charge. of
Yeah,
this major
she's trying to hurt.
organization.
I mean, you can't
And
trust
that's
family
compounded by my
sometimes.
concern that you don't have any experience managing a large organization.
We don't want people with
We don't have
experience
any
managing. We
experience in
want
government.
newcomers.
So
Y'all
those
been
are
there
things that have to
30,
be
40
taken
years
into
doing the
account.
same thing, not
But the
changing
issue for
anything.
me is
We
also
want term
priorities.
limits.
A
We
lot
want you
of
to
your
stop trying to be
engagement
people
in
who
health
have
has
quote
been
unquote
on vaccines,
expertise.
big important issue.
Let's get new people
You
in.
actually disagreed, as I understand it, with President Trump about Operation Warp Speed. I think President Trump deserves a lot of credit for Operation Warp Speed. He knew we
Well,
had
if
to
you
get a
believe that.
vaccine. And these other issues about a mask and whether you should wear it, whether when you got your groceries, the bag had to be left outside. Remember that in the very
Yeah, because that
beginning?
was all
Those are
nonsense.
incidental to the core question.
No,
that
it's not.
the
They're all
president
part of the
raised.
same
We
question.
had to have a vaccine. And
No,
you
it's
contested
all
that.
nonsense.
That worries me. That
Well, I'm
really
sorry you're
deeply worries
worried
me.
because a lot of people have been
The
injured
other
by those
questions,
things, and we know
Senator
better.
Cassidy asked you some questions about our healthcare system. I happen to believe that our
I don't care
healthcare
that it
system is
worries you.
profoundly broken. And it's not just about the chronic illnesses. That's about our diet. That's about our exercise.
No, it's
But
not
we
just our
are
diet
getting
and
premium
exercise. It's
increases in
also within
Vermont
the
of
environment.
20% a year, 25% a year. And it's busting the bank for taxpayers. It's busting the bank for our wonderful Vermont employers who care about having health insurance that they can provide to their employees.
Y'all so full of it.
Senator Cassidy asked you a couple
And y'all
of
have the
questions
best.
about how
Y'all
you
have
would
the best
reform
insurance
Medicaid.
there is. You
And
guys
I
have better
didn't
health
hear
care
an
than we
answer.
did. Why don't you ask
You
why y'all
mentioned
didn't have to
that you
comply
thought
with those
Medicare
mandates that
Advantage was
everybody else
good.
did? They
You
had
had
an
a good
exemption,
plan.
Fletcher.
No,
That's right.
no focus on
They
it.
had an
The
exemption.
incredible
Y'all didn't have
ripoff
to do it.
was
You didn't lose your
reported in
job
the
for
Wall
not
Street
doing that
Journal by
thing.
United Healthcare,
Full of crap.
which was marketing Medicare Advantage and then paying doctors and nurses where they had assignments essentially to diagnose illnesses that didn't exist. So they made billions and billions of
And you say
dollars.
we're supposed to trust
And
these
I've
people?
seen nothing coming out of the Trump administration.
That's what they're
And I've
saying.
seen nothing coming out of your advocacy that is going after what is a rampant abuse by the insurance companies and overcharging people and not doing the job. And by the way, the United Healthcare
That's what
people, when they
Luigi
did
was
that,
for.
they overdiagnosed. When the person really got sick,
Just
they dumped
kidding.
them. They dumped them.
Just kidding.
Go to the nursing home on your own. That's a
First,
broken
trying to
healthcare
do
system. We
extreme
spend the
early.
most and
I'm
get
just
the least.
teasing.
And I think there should be
May
collective
that man rest in peace.
anger about this on both sides because all of our people are dependent on that healthcare system. And you're going to be working.
Why are you
for a
trying to
president
pretend like
who's
you're
on a
all
lawless
on both
rampage right now,
sides?
Okay?
He's not on a lawless
He
rampage. No,
has
he's not.
done something reckless with the pardons to these
No,
cop beaters.
reckless?
I'm appalled by that.
Oh, give me a
That's just
break.
reckless.
Is
That's
that
not
reckless for
illegal.
Biden to do what he did
He's
on the way out the
impounded
door with
money.
his own
So
family?
right now, the Medicaid website
You gotta be
went
kidding
down.
me. You gotta be kidding
He's
me.
impounded money. So the community health centers.
You
that
gotta
Senator
be
Warner
kidding
was
me.
talking
You are
about
so showing
are up
off
in the
right
air as to
now.
what they can do.
So
Do you
You're telling me
believe that
it's
a
somehow
president
disturbing
can
for
impound
people
money
who
that has been
basically
appropriated
just,
by Congress?
committed
Senator,
at most a riot in most
let me
cases,
answer the question
as
about
opposed to
Medicare
actual
first.
criminals,
I
murderers
have never
that
defended
Biden
that
pardoned?
program or
Please.
the rapacious behavior by insurance companies or the PBMs. I
That's it.
understand that's a huge problem. And
All right, I don't have time.
I
We've got
just
to get
wanna-
over to vote. So we
Oh,
should-
so don't let him finish. You want to, yeah, exactly. You're grandstanding.
Please be brief.
Yeah,
Let him talk.
I have a point I brought in, if I get.
You're so
confirmed
full of
as
it, you
lead
guys.
member
You're
of
just all
General
performance
Counsel,
for
the
you.
first time in history, he's a former prosecutor who prosecuted the biggest Medicare fraud in the case in the state of West Virginia. I brought in a prosecutor for that job instead of a bureaucrat, precisely to address the important issues that you raised here. The only reason I
Yeah.
didn't talk about these before is because I wasn't asked about them.
What about-
I agree with you 100%.
All right, what about impounding, a president impounding money that, among other things, goes to health?
How do you
And
know?
you're
Why is
saying
that a
that's
fact?
illegal?
That's correct.
Well, my job is to uphold the Constitution. I'm going to take an oath to uphold
Imagine
the
that.
Constitution, and
Yeah.
I will administer the law.
Yeah,
and
so
uphold
you're
the
so, you
Constitution.
know what? You're just playing gotcha game questions right now. You're trying to show off to your constituents. By the way, none of us are impressed.
Mr. Chairman, I believe under what we've discussed, I control 5 minutes. I'm going to take one and give one to each of my 4 colleagues that remain.
All right, and I would just say this vote, they're going to call it in about 8 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you guys
We
are
have
just
very
so
little time.
blowhard. You just
2 hours
blowhards.
ago, colleagues, I asked Mr. Kennedy to reconcile his many anti-vaccine statements
Here we go.
with his
Here we go.
handful of pro-vaccine statements. Instead,
Why
he
should
gave us
he?
a word salad.
Why should
and
he?
ducked the issue.
Oh, give me
The
a
same
break.
is true, Mr. Kennedy. with
You
regard
look
to
like
measles.
looks like
We
you
wrote a
only
book
eat
laying
salads
down
with
the
your
threat
pale
of
behind. You gonna talk
measles,
about health?
even though
Once you eat a
American
steak,
families are
like you're
very
about to
concerned
fall
about
out.
it, and apparently families are still mourning.
You look
in
anemic.
Samoa.
It's
My
it's
last
hurting your
point
brain.
would
And how
be
long have you been out there?
that
Why
Mr.
are you?
Kennedy
Why don't we have
said
term limits?
Today really wasn't about him, and I just want to tell him
He
it is
doesn't have to be
all
pro
about
or
you,
against anything. He's
because
there
I
to say
find your
what he sees.
presentation to be both untrustworthy and unprepared. Because
I
my
think
colleagues have
you're
been seeing
untrustworthy.
back and forth between
And
Medicare
you look
and Medicaid, and it's
unprepared.
not
You look
clear,
like you could use
which
to go on
programs
a
are using
resort
when.
and get some
So I want
sun
colleagues to
and eat
know
some
there is
food.
a lot more information to learn about Mr. Kennedy before we
You don't know
vote. I'm
anything
gonna
about
urge that
health.
to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to not make
No, no,
decisions on the
you're
basis
full
of
of it.
this session.
You,
I
this
think
is all
that we need this
political.
time.
You don't talk
Jeff,
about,
my next minute is Senator Whitehouse,
yeah,
Senator Warren, and Senator
yeah.
Scott.
And
Oh,
again,
is it
1
funny?
minute
You're
each,
only
please.
giving it to other
There's been a
people
lot
who
of
are
conversation about
who agree with
late-term
you.
abortions here, and I just want to make clear
Why are we talking
what
about
Rhode
deleting
Island
babies for? Is that
OBGYN
what
doctors
healthcare is now?
describe
That's all we care
as
about?
what is almost always happening
So full of
when a
it.
late-term abortion is needed. It is a
A late term
childbirth gone wrong.
deletion is never needed. You
family
don't
has
have to kill a
painted the room.
baby. You already had the
They have
baby.
bought the
Let them
crib.
live or let them die naturally.
Maybe even
That's
decided on the
bull
baby's
crap.
name
Stop
and has
lying.
gone to
You're
the
a
hospital
liar.
to welcome the new baby to their
Liar.
family in what is
Liar.
supposed to be a
Liar.
happy event.
No.
And
Ask
then
a
things
real
went wrong.
obstetrician. You never need
Then
one.
the alarms
They
started
need to
pinging.
have the baby and then the
The
baby will
lights
die if they
started
die
flashing.
naturally. You never have to
The
kill
medical
a baby
professionals started
for
rushing
your
in.
health. You never have
And
to
the
kill a
question
baby at the
became,
end of your pregnancy for your health.
who
You
lives
give
and
birth.
who dies?
You can have a
The
C-section
mom's
or you can
life
do it
is
naturally.
often at risk.
No, that's why
And
you
she
have the
may have
baby.
other children
There's
she
no
needs
other way. She already
to
has
care
the
for.
baby.
The
It's a matter of
baby's
do you
life
let the baby live or
may
not.
be at
You
risk.
lying
And
liar.
one or both may
No.
die.
You're full of crap. They
In
might
that
both die.
environment,
That's called life.
The doctors
You can't
and the
prevent that
family
sometimes.
own that decision.
Full of it. No, they
Government
can't.
has
Yeah, they
no
will own that
place
decision, Fletcher. When
in
you
that
meet
room
God,
at that
when you
point.
meet God and he has to answer
And
why
I
you
think we
killed
need
your
to
babies and
understand
letting
when
the
this
baby die
late-term abortion gets
naturally.
bandied about, what you're dealing with is
Yes.
a tragedy. that
No,
is
it's that the
happening to a
tragedy is that you
family
killed
who
that
wanted
baby.
that
That's the
child and
tragedy.
have suddenly been confronted
Oh,
with a
they wanted
moment
that child.
in
Let
which
the
they have
baby
to
be
make
born
what
and
is
let the
probably
child
going to
die
be the
or
worst
live.
decision of their lives.
It is the worst decision of their
And
lives.
to
If you
try to
kill your
shove
baby,
the state legislature into that room
the
is
state
really
legislature is not the
offensive,
one in the room.
really
You know what's in the
morally
room? It's
wrong.
called
And I just want to make
morality.
very clear
It's called
what
morality.
Rhode Island OBGYNs tell me
Thanks,
is
Sir Glenn.
the situation when these
Thanks,
procedures
Sir Glenn.
have to be deployed.
They never have to be
Senator
deployed.
Warren.
Stop lying. You're
Thank you,
lying.
Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Kennedy, I wanted to
He was
ask
ranting so
about
much, I said, we gotta
the
go
role
live.
in the 2019
Oh, and here comes
measles
this
outbreak in
witch.
Samoa.
What is
In
it? How's it go,
July
Fletcher?
2018, two
The
children died
rogue, the witch, and the
immediately
audacity of
after
this.
receiving
You
a
know
measles
what?
vaccine that nurses
The
had
line, the wardrobe,
mistakenly
and the
mixed
witch,
with a
and the
muscle
audacity of
relaxant.
this.
The nurses get charged
Itch.
with manslaughter,
Yeah.
but vaccination.
Oh, I
rates
forgot.
are
Let me
down.
do
I
my
asked about
Indian
this, and
chant
the
for
officer
her,
told me
for
flat out
Pocahontas.
that your visit
Oh,
to Samoa had
where's your
nothing to
feathers?
do
Where's your
with
feathers, Senator?
vaccinations.
Where are your
You now know
feathers?
that's not true. I have the documentation.
Talking about
You
what's
met with the
true?
Prime Minister.
Tell me
You
about your
talked about
Cherokee heritage right
vaccinations.
now.
You met with an anti-vaccine influencer who
Stop
described the
calling
meeting
stuff.
as,
Who
quote,
cares who he met with?
profoundly monumental.
Who cares
for
what
this
he met
movement.
with?
So what happened?
He knows more about it than you
Vaccinations go
do.
down. There's a measles outbreak, and
Oh, give me a
children
break.
die.
So you're going to say there's a
But you
causality
doubled
as
down.
opposed to a
You didn't give
correlation?
up. Just
Oh,
4
so
days
because you
after
see
the
a
Prime Minister
connection?
declared a state
Where's the
of
science
emergency,
behind that,
16
Fletcher?
people
There's a
already
difference
dead.
between correlation and
You sent a letter
causation.
to
So
him
you're saying
promoting the idea
those
that the
things went
children
down
who
and
died
therefore a
were
measles
cut
outbreak?
from, quote,
And that passes for science for these
vaccine.
senators.
Launched the idea that a measles vaccine caused
Shut up.
deaths You are a very
It could have.
influential man.
Have you ever heard of the Vaccine Adverse Reporting Act?
The jab,
Multiple,
I've seen.
UNICEF and WHO, the World Health Organization, investigated.
Won't you clean up your district?
They
Won't
say
you clean
the
up your
claims are
district?
false. It is not
Pocahontas.
biologically possible what you claim.
Sitting Bull right
And yet,
now.
ultimately, more than 70 people died because they didn't get vaccines.
How
So my
many died
question
because they
is,
took them?
Do you accept
There's
even a
actual adverse
even a
reporting events.
sliver of responsibility?
Where's your responsibility?
The drop in vaccinations and the subsequent deaths.
But
of
you're
more than
acting like
70
people never had measles before. You know people have measles. They don't all die from it.
After there were 2 incidents in which children died in 2015 and again in 2015, it was from the measles vaccine. That's with the New Zealand General Hospital.
Yes. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, Kennedy.
Government of Samoa.
She can't handle the truth. She can't handle the
measles
truth.
Vaccine after the 2018.
Tell the truth.
I arrived in July of the next year after the ban had been in place for a year.
He's telling the truth. Shut up. Let him finish talking.
You wanted to hold us to a minute, and then I don't get to present all the facts and documentation I've got. How about
Oh
we
my
just
gosh,
decide
she
to
is
make
so-
inference for the
this is
record
legislative
on exactly what
malpractice.
the record shows
Shut up.
about
Let him
Mr.
finish
Kennedy's
talking and answer your
participation.
questions you
And I
just
think he's
posed.
answered the yes or no question. He takes no responsibility.
Senator Warren, we will.
Why
do
should he
that,
take
and
responsibility for
Mr.
what he
Kennedy
said
and to
as
all
though
the
it's something
senators,
wrong?
Every senator knows that
Because
following this
he
hearing,
disagrees
they will
with
be able to
you.
ask you questions off the record, and you will be able to put answers back on.
He's
the
so
record.
full of it.
So please give that answer. I apologize that we're shutting you off for giving a full response.
Thank you.
now.
Thank you. Thank you,
Senator Smith,
Senator
we
Chairman.
are
Thank
way
you.
over time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Kennedy, you have said that you want to give infectious diseases a break for about 8 years. You spoke about this with Senator Cantwell. My question to you has to do with avian flu. Over 100 million birds called.
Oh, here we go. These people are obsessed with sickness, Fletcher. They're obsessed.
So, Mr. Kennedy, do you intend to give research on bird flu a break?
They are
I
obsessed.
intend to devote the appropriate resources to
Grow up. You know we have something called an immune system?
What do you
Have
think
you
is
ever heard
causing
of that?
avian influenza?
What do you mean, what's calling it?
Viruses.
So that's
Oh my
good to
gosh,
hear
is that a gotcha
because in
question?
recent
Are you a
book, I will submit
scientist?
this for the record because we don't have that much time.
That you're
Mr.
taking
Kennedy
up.
has questioned the scientific basis for germs causing disease and the power of vaccines and antibiotics.
I've never
Cure
questioned
disease.
that.
Well, I will submit
So
that.
you're
for you.
you are
Thank you.
you
Senator
are
Warren, 1
misrepresenting.
minute.
Put her butt
I
down.
like the way you
Shut
said that
up.
to the Baptist preacher. Thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy. Based on our conversations, it's my understanding that you support work requirements in Medicaid. In 2020, Trump.
Oh, here we go
President
again
Trump
with
approved
this
a
one.
proposal from
This
Georgia
one.
state leaders
This one
requiring
again.
Georgians to jump through a number of onerous
You know what?
hoops and
Oh,
fill out
really?
even more
When I
paperwork
tried to get money, I
verify
had to
work
jump through
and get
hoops.
access to healthcare. I asked this.
What? It's
as
too
someone who
asking you too
represents a
much?
state that
It's
has not
asking you too
expanded
much to actually
Medicaid.
do something?
Federal
Yeah, make your
government,
butt
because
work
of
if you
this
can
waiver,
work.
spent $70
The Bible
million
says if you don't work, you don't
on
eat.
Georgia's Medicaid waiver.
How about that? How about that,
82%
Senator?
of that went to administrative costs. The point that I'm making is that the folks that they're insisting.
No,
need
the
to
point
work,
you're making is showing off.
90% of those
They
folks
should
are
work.
working.
You Atlantans don't want to work. Let you work.
Or they have a disability. Let me give you one example.
I don't care if you have a
think of all the time,
disability,
her name is
Fletcher. You
Heather.
can
She's
have a
traveling
disability. You
nurse
can still work.
from Dalton,
We got
Georgia.
family members,
Who falls
disabilities,
into
and
the
they work.
Medicaid
My
coverage
dad, granddad, they
Heather
work to their
experienced a
90s and so
series of
forth.
small strokes,
They
leaving
can
her
work.
Unable.
If they can
to
work, they can
full-time.
work.
She's dedicated
Oh,
her
yeah.
life to caring for patients, but now she
They
can't
can
afford her
work.
own medical care.
They got
you
stuff you can
out-of-pocket
do from
costs
your
because she
chair.
doesn't make enough to qualify
Yeah.
for tax credits to buy.
I'm not saying people don't need
private
help,
insurance.
but why is it some kind of
Others have the need. Does she need
monstrosity?
work
Because you might
requirements?
say, why
Or
shouldn't
does
she if she
need
can work? Let
access
her
to
work.
healthcare so she can finally get healthy?
You know what?
and get
People
back to
feel
work?
better when they work.
The individual that you described would need health care and not a work requirement.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Depends on the person. Oh, that was some kind of
And we
gotcha
are
moment?
done with the
Sit down,
questioning
brother.
now.
You ain't
Mr.
said
Kennedy,
nothing.
I apologize to you, to the audience, and to all of my colleagues to have to rush it here at the end, but we have a vote on the Senate floor that they're going to
Because you guys are profligate and you can't even use your
want to
time
thank you
properly.
for
How
appearing
can we
before
be
this
impressed
committee.
by you all?
You have been accessible
not
to the
impressed.
members and
You're not
staff on both
impressive.
sides of the aisle of the Finance
When-
Committee
when they're
throughout a
complaining
rigorous
before, like,
process. And I
he
want the
couldn't manage.
whole world to know.
Yeah,
that
they
you
can't even manage
spent
their time.
hours
You want to
on
manage
the
our
meetings
government.
answering answering questions outside of
You
this hearing
interrupt him.
and
Nobody
providing
respects that.
documents and
That's why I'm
responses
talking
on
over
issue
y'all.
after
You don't even
issue
let him
after
answer
issue.
the questions.
You've
You
gone
pepper
through the
him with
most
questions
thorough
to
vetting
show off.
process that any committee in this Congress puts anybody through. And I think that you have
That's
come
why a lot of
through
people
well
don't want to do this. A
and
lot of good
deserve to be
people won't go
confirmed.
through this process because you let these
I
people
would like to
act a
remind my
fool. There should be better
colleagues that
rules.
the deadline for submitting any questions for the record is 5 p.m. today. 5 p.m. today. And Mr. Kennedy, we ask that you
They don't want
respond to those
questions. They want to
questions as
try to just
quickly
bring
as you
him down
possibly
because, you know,
can.
Orange Man bad.
With that, I'm going to
Because
leave you in
Orange,
this room.
yeah, that man's name is
and
Crapo.
run over to
Exactly.
vote. This hearing
That
will
should be
be
the name of this
adjourned. I
whole
still
body.
encourage
This
the
whole legislative
audience to be
body is
polite and
Senator
respectful no
Crapo.
matter what side of the issues you may be on. And Mr. Kennedy, I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're adjourned.
Y'all better confirm him. Fletcher, I'm hot about this.
So that concludes our coverage from Capitol Hill. Of course, you saw R.F.K. Jr. doing a great.
I think when you know with this was the Pocahontas ones. That
No. They were all out of line. Listen, you really have to listen.
Company, a medical device company.
If you still are a Democrat, you got to consider, okay, listen, I have been a Democrat. I was one. I'm not ashamed to say it. But listen, you've got to wake up, okay? Look at what these people are. Are they for you? If you're listening to this, please, and you're a Democrat, we have all kinds of people on our channel. We support everybody. We love everybody. And our family is a mixture. There's Republicans, there's Democrats, independents like yourself, like myself, yours truly, I should say. And all kinds of like people, even those who are apolitical of all kinds who don't vote. But you know what? I need some ice water. You have to take away. You know what? You're going to have to take me away from this mic. But you got to wake up. These Democrats, the questions they asked were not designed to get at what this man is trying to explain. A true legislator person, a person who's representing your district, they should be trying to elicit, what does this man believe and think? What does Mr. Kennedy think? What are you saying? Let me ask you. But no, they took a hostile, confrontational, cross-examinational kind of take with this man because they don't like him, and it goes against what they want to push. Who's in their pockets? Whose pockets are they in? But because they don't want to even have any opportunity for him to describe what he really thinks about certain industries that are very lucrative, right? The minute he starts to talk about it, they're like, well, we got your answer. They don't want him to use this opportunity to explain so that other people who are listening without it being edited and mediated by the fake media that will cut and paste or cut it out. That way they can just grandstand, make him sound like he's some kind of idiot, which he's not. You can take issue with what he's saying, but you can see their whole manner was not for you, ladies and gentlemen. If these people represent you, please know they don't, because they are not actually asking him questions to elicit whether or not he's qualified. What they were asking were gotcha questions to kind of make him look foolish so they can then justify what they already intend to do, which is to not vote to confirm him. It's so nasty.
Yeah. And
it was fake and unpatriotic and un-American. Now, some of the Republicans didn't ask great questions either. Some of them were kind of like, oh, let me just play games with you. They're not doing him any favors. If they're just giving him the chance to say, if they're just saying, you're so great, and they don't ask any kind of hard questions, they're not helping him. They're not giving him a chance either, which might be a kind of backwards way to also go against him.
I think so, because, you know, we both know that this whole huge kind of like organization area, they make a whole lot of money.
Oh, heck yeah.
This we're not talking about
everybody wake up.
200,000. These are billion industries.
Heck yeah.
Because we as a taxpayer are funding these kind of things. And, you know, I mean, we got to be wise stewards over this, because just having anything with oversight and transparency, how can that be bad? I mean, that's just insane. But
I mean, at one time, Fletcher, he's saying, look, they're trying to, pigeonhole him into certain statements he made that they consider provocative, controversial, because he said, certain things you guys jump to are not necessarily the right way to control certain problems. And you guys know we are being very vague on purpose because of what we're here doing, okay? The platform we're on won't let us say certain things. So hopefully you can read between the lines of what we're saying, okay? You can listen to the beginning and you'll know what we're talking about by listening to the confirmation, okay? But we can't say certain words. So these senators, they're in bed with people who push certain things to fix certain problems in our health. And he's saying, look, you got to look at that. There's more than one way to skin this cat. And he's also saying there's side effects, there's problems with your way. And so they want to make it seem like he's some kind of nut, which he is not. You may not like it, but he's not a nut. And this is what she does look like. Look at that picture. This is who we want to have in the Senate. Welcome, Lady Jen. This is who we want in the Senate. Look at this. Look at Pocahontas right there, about to go into a war cry. Fake war cry. Stop it. Just stop it right now. Okay? And I think he was so cool, calm, and collected, even though they did treat him unfairly. The Democrats did. The Democrats treated him unfairly. They were obviously like a gang. They are groupthink. And you could tell right now, they don't give a crap about the people that they supposedly represent in terms of their health. Not one bit. And one of them, Fletcher, you remember, she's going on about her own personal sob story about how she was depressed and how a certain thing helped her. Girl, first of all, sit down, because first of all, we don't need to hear your personal sob story. It has no compelling stature for me whatsoever. You're one person as opposed to many. And secondly, he didn't say that nobody should use certain substances to feel better if they have the sad disease. Okay, what he's saying is some of the side effects of the things you take for the sad disease, they might cause problems, like, yes, the school shootings, because that is a connection.
School
situations. Pow pows. Oh my gosh, thank you. The pew pews that happen in the school sometimes with the crazy kids. Okay, the pew pews sometimes we're not saying it causes it. Neither is he. He's saying there is correlations that should be studied. You're saying, Democrats and your people who pay you, apparently, that you don't want to even look at it. You're saying, oh, there's no connection, nothing. Well, that's not scientific. Okay. Science. Okay, let's get this straight. Because I took science, Fletcher. I took science. I'm not a scientist. Never really wanted to be a scientist. My mom wanted to be a scientist. She loved science. She was disappointed that I didn't want to be a scientist. Okay. Sorry, Mom. But she loved chemistry. I had to be forced to take it. Okay. I did decently. But I took science. Okay. I took science all the way through college. All right. I can tell you this. Science is not about foreclosing questions. Science is not about saying, well, we already know what that is. Science is not about, well, this is what I believe or feel. Science says we're going to ask the question. Science is not afraid to ask questions. Science doesn't say, well, that's foolish. That's a stupid question. We're not even going to look at that. You sound crazy. No, because a lot of things over the years, over the centuries, have sounded crazy. And then you find out, oh, there's truth to it. So you're already shutting him down because he's apparently said, oh, I don't believe in germs and all this. Okay, first of all, that's not what he said. He was trying to explain himself. And that senator, I'm just tempted to call her a heifer. But I'm going to say the senator.
I think he just did.
The senator wants to say, oh, well, yeah, you said it. I'm going to enter this in the record. First of all.
Listen to it. We did come up with
Okay. Sure. All right.
Just relax. I'm like Demi Glenn on this one. I think, we got to get you.
No, don't take away my coffee. They ain't switching the decaf till later. I'm keeping the caffeine going.
We say good morning to Lady Jen who's with us. Sir Glenn says AOC already dropped down on people in Congress doing insider trading. There's more going on than that. There's a whole lot of that stuff going on. We got
tell me about it.
Vissinger here,
Thank you, Sergeant Vissinger. Nope, Sakalaese. Exactly. Get out.
Litigate against them. You get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it. I've written
Speak.
6
Go
books
ahead.
about these agencies.
Exactly.
I know a lot about them and I know how to fix it. And there's
Thank you.
nobody who will fix it the way that I do because I'm not scared of vested interest.
Preach, yes,
Not even
yes.
because I want a position or a job.
That's what we're saying.
A happy family. This is something I don't need. I want to do this because we're going to fix it. And the other thing is we are attracting now a caliber of people to HHS like never before in history. And they're entrepreneurs, they're disruptors.
Right. People who actually accomplish something, not like you guys up there. People actually have to work for a living, not just show up and take money from the people.
They want to save our country.
Excellent. Amen. Yes. Yes.
And all these Democrats are opposed to me for partisan issues. They used to be.
Come on now. Preach.
Agree
True.
with me on all the environmental issues I've been
True.
working on for my whole career.
Come on.
Against me because anything that President Trump does,
Yes.
any decision he makes,
come on,
has to be lampooned, derided,
yes,
discredited,
yes,
marginalized, vilified.
Oh, come on. Ouch. Hurt me. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him, Kennedy. Don't hurt him.
Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Kennedy, I want to start with something that I think you and I agree on, and that is that Big Pharma has too much power in Washington.
I love
You
it.
said that
Lady Jen
President
is
Trump
my
asked you
is
to,
my
quote,
my spirit animal
clean up
here. Queen.
corruption and
Strong coffee always.
Sounds
Amen.
great. You said you will, quote, slam shut the revolving door between.
They are
government
afraid.
agencies
They
and
are afraid of their
regulate.
money being taken
That also
away.
sounds great.
Exactly.
So
These
here's an
folks,
easy question.
these folks
When
are
you
greedy.
When you leave this job, you will not accept
Whole lot
compensation
of
from a drug
billions
company, a
and
medical
billions.
device company, a hospital system.
How about
or
this,
a health
Senator?
insurer
Why don't you
for
make
at
that
least
pledge?
4 years,
Let me hear
including
you
as a
make that pledge.
lobbyist for
Oh,
a
no,
board.
no. Come on, Pocahontas. You first.
You're not going to take money from drug
You
companies
first.
in any way, shape, or
You
form.
first.
Yes, you.
Oh. I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured.
You
I said
first.
It's an easy question. To
You
start
first,
with.
Senator.
And I
How much money you got? How you got millions? Being a public servant. Explain that to me.
Let's keep going. You're right because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our number
What about,
one
oh my
health
gosh, the
officer
hypocrisy is
to
strong
help
with this
them
one,
and
Fletcher.
not to make
The
money for
hypocrisy is
yourself
strong
in the
with this
future.
one.
So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now.
Look at
In the
Sergeant
past 2
Visinger. He
years,
says
you've raked
Elizabeth
in
Warren
$2.5 million
is the reason why I
from a
can't
law firm
claim I
called
have something that
Wisner
explains
Bomb.
why I have a brother
You
who's
go
brown.
online,
Yeah,
do
exactly.
commercials to encourage
Because she
people to
lied
sign
about
up with
her
Wisner
so-called Native
Bomb,
American
to
heritage
join lawsuits against
in order
vaccine
to get
makers. And
some
for
kind
everyone
of
who signs up,
advantage
you
in affirmative
personally
action.
get
I think
paid.
at Harvard.
And if they win their case,
believe so,
you
yeah.
get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who
The
$10
hypocrisy.
million,
Girlfriend,
you walk away
I want to
with $1
see
million.
your books.
Now, you
Tell
just
me about
said
how much
that you
money
want
you
the
got
American
from
people to
other
know
interests.
you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much
But
money
you
can
can,
make
right,
in the
Senator?
future.
You
You
can.
won't go to work
Admit
for a
it.
drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr.
Oh,
Kennedy,
yeah, you and I both know because you're doing it.
you won't take any compensation from any
Because you're doing it. Won't you help him do it, Senator? Elizabeth, Liz, won't you give him the real goods? Meet him after off record and tell him how he can really make money. Like you do.
I'm secretary. But
Like
I
you
do wanna
likely do.
clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill.
Tell her. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt.
Presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court without her hearing.
No. You talk.
Simple question.
No, it's not.
You've taken in
It took you 4 minutes to ask the question. He starts answering for 30 seconds, and then you tell him you want a yes or no answer. Shut up, lady.
You won't go to work.
Shut
feeding
up.
Drug companies and taking your rake out of that while
No, because it takes away from your rake. It takes away from her rake.
Oh
my gosh.
Any fees from drug
Oh my gosh.
I'm
wait a
asking
minute,
about
because you know why?
fees
Because
from
she thinks it's
suing
going to cut into
drug
her
companies.
profits.
Will you agree not to do that?
Cuts into her
You're
profits.
asking me to not sue drug companies,
No,
and I'm
you
not
can
going to agree
sue
to that,
drug
Senator.
companies
Oh,
as
shut
much
up.
as you
He's
want.
right. He's right in how he's
I'm
asking
not
that.
gonna-
Oh,
Right, because
he's so much smarter than you, Elizabeth. Harvard person. He's smarter than you.
so it's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So she has, you know what? This is ground they cannot stand on, Fletcher. She's going to try to make this man look compromised with respect to potential financial interests he could have. When you're sitting up there, a millionaire, I'm certain multi-millionaire who's been in public service for years, where did you get that money? Okay, you don't make that kind of money sitting as a senator. Okay, this is what we need to all look at. We got people like Pelosi. I mean, multi-millionaire. You got all of them. You know, heck, Maxine Waters. You have been in Congress forever. I think they make like maybe 100,000, 200,000, heck, maybe even 300,000. But they got homes, $20 million, $5 million. They got homes, plural. They got millions. You can't limit. Let me tell you something. Common sense. Okay. Yes, Sir Glenn. Even Bernie Sanders has millions in the bank. Millions, a couple millions, and that's probably conservative. So you're
Right.
telling me, listen, let's say you make, let's say you make 500,000 a year. You don't have millions in the bank. You don't have millions in the bank. You know why? Because you still got to pay your mortgage. You got to pay for your car. You got to pay your taxes. You got to pay for food. You got to pay for your kids' college. You got to pay for, you know, the same thing that everybody else has. By the end of the day, you got to have more than the average American, true. But you don't have millions. You don't have millions. When you can afford a home that's multi-millions, you got more than that because the property tax alone will wipe you out, especially like where Sanders is up in Vermont. They have very high property taxes, generally speaking, very high. You might pay a lot. I mean, think about it. Even a normal home might be a couple thousand, a few thousand a year. When you have millions of dollars of home plus land, you got to pay a lot. You got to have a lot of money. You don't get that kind of money making even if they make 500,000 a year. You don't. So where do you guys get that money from? You can afford trips and fancy luxury items and jewelry. I mean, didn't Kamala Harris have like some necklace that was like $65,000? They said they found it online.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The average person even making that kind of money can't afford that. They're not really doing that. So you're going to actually try to make this man, Kennedy, make it seem as though he's somehow corrupt because he might have the opportunity after he leaves office or has along the way made money, you know, by doing capitalism, as opposed to what Lady Jen has put up. Exactly. Crony capitalism. That's what these guys are all about. They're not for the people. They need to stop lying. They're not for the people. Her questions are not designed to see whether or not. No, her questions are meant to make it seem as though he can't be trusted so they can, again, have some kind of facade as to why they don't want to affirm him. Because honestly, they have already been given orders not to. Because he is against certain companies that are not for your health, and they're not for your kids' health. They're for their own pockets. They're not for the truth. They're not trying to actually do science. Okay. They want to keep a narrative. And we all know with the disease of mysterious origin from 4 years ago, it was about control. They care very little about people's health. It was a wonderful social experiment to try to control people. Okay.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for her,
Agreed not to companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your
She's so full of
anti-vaccine
it.
conspiracies, but
She's
this
so
time,
she's so
on US government letterhead, something everyone might be impressed by. You
so
can
it's
point
something
out
they don't
understand
Fletcher.
vaccine panel.
So if it's something they don't agree with, it's a quote conspiracy. And that's scientific? That's professional, Senator? Pocahontas sitting bull? That's full of bull? That's what science passes as? That's what you consider your job, to be up here trying to confirm someone? You're so full of it. You are so full of it. It is not a conspiracy. It is a theory. There's nothing wrong with Kennedy or anyone else saying, hey, I want to look at the connections. I want to look at potential harms. We already have a system whereby you can report harms. And that is what it means to do science. It means you'll look at everything. You honestly do. That's what I was taught when I was in school. And as Sir Glenn says here, he says there's no bird flu either. Yes, fine. You can, that's his he says that's my personal opinion, not based on any evidence. Guess what? There may be people who can look into that and see whether or not that personal opinion can be borne out or not. That's
It used to be
literally
called science, right? Or
that's
used
what
to-
science is. That's what science is. Now listen, they don't mind that Fauci spent billions,
Well,
millions to billions of dollars doing what I think are useless experiments. Let's see how much pain it will cause a beagle to be eaten by sand fleas. How much harm can you cause by having them be tortured? Okay, maybe there's some scientific reason for that. My perspective is I don't think that's an important one. I think he had one on like birds having cocaine. Okay, all of these are scientific experiments. I don't think they have much use. I think a better one would be to see if some of these so-called conspiracy theories about certain things you do when you're sick to prevent illness, which affect millions of people, might be a better use. But you just throw it out of hand, Senator Pocahontas, and say things like, oh, conspiracy. No, no, no. That's a slur. That's a slur you use because you want to make it seem that anybody who believes anything other than the standard narrative is some kind of idiot. Like he said, you're lampooning it. But I thought science was, you know what, let's not foreclose. I remember I took science when I was in school as high school. And I remember in the 10th grade, it was the most exciting year of taking science, Fletcher, for me, because I was fortunate to have a really good year of science teachers, and they had lab. In my 9th grade year, we just had to learn from the books. But by the 10th grade year, we got lab coats. We got to go into an actual lab environment, and we did experiments. And what we had to do was start off with a kind of a thesis or something, a hypothesis, what you think might happen or something when you do X, Y, and Z in the lab. And then afterwards you would test it and see if what you thought would happen or not. Then you had to actually write up a report. It was so much fun. We did that for like 2 years. We did one with like chemistry, and we did like certain things like what would happen if you put baking soda with ammonia. Yeah, crazy stuff. We kind of have mini explosions in there. It was a lot of fun. Then we did one with biology where we had animals that were cadavers that we would had they had for experimentation for us to learn. Some of the girls wanted to be doctors. Some of the boys wanted to be doctors, whatever. And I remember most of the girls wanted to be doctors. And so we learned a lot by, saying, what do you think will happen if this, what do you think will be here and so forth. We never said, okay, this is not worth checking. This is not worth learning. Because it is, right? That's what science is. Science says, I'm going to take a chance. So like what Sir Glenn said, let's look at the claims for bird flu. Is this something we've already seen that we're repackaging it? Is this something that we are seeing a bunch of phenomena that actually don't come into what that categorization should be called as flu? Is it this? Is it? That's what you do. It's called science. But if you already have your decision made up and somebody already paid you to have a point of view because they already have the money invested to have you buy something to so-called stop you from getting that thing, or to help you after you get it because they're going to make billions from it, then yes, you're going to say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, it's a conspiracy. Oh, no, heifer, no, it's not. It's called a theory. And scientists want to study theories. That's what they do. And yes, they can prioritize which ones are more interesting or more important than others, certainly. But you don't just out of hand throw something away because you don't know what might be there. Look at Madame Curie, who I loved as a child. People thought some of her theories were ridiculous. I remember reading as a little kid about Madame Curie and loving it. And she said, well, let's try it. You never know. I mean, look, Thomas Edison said he tried so many things for the light bulb. Do you just give up and say, oh, well, it's a conspiracy that you can get indoor lighting? No. He said, I'm going to try. He said, you know what? It's 1% inspiration and like 99% perspiration. I think either he or Einstein said that. What do they mean by that? You keep trying. But they say, no, don't try. Because you know why? Because the people who are in their pocket, or whose pocket they're in, it don't benefit them for you to keep trying different ways to hit things. So she wants to make it seem like you're some kind of dummy because you want to do something different. oh, you're some kind of witch doctor. You're kind of dummy. What kind of nonsense is that? And you guys put these people in office. Come on, I hope you guys are watching. If you're a Democrat, they don't act like they are for you. Please listen. They act like they are not for you. They are for somebody that's not in that room, who's not there. They're not for you. You're in the room, okay? They're supposed to be representing you. So honestly, you're in the room. That's who you are if you are a citizen, okay? You're watching on TV, you're in the room. You know who's not in the room? The ones making money behind the scenes for what they told them to say and not say.
Right.
Come on.
Who's in the pocket, right? Who's
Share
telling you
your
to say it's a
anti-vax views
conspiracy?
and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine.
Whose dirty work are you
from the
doing right
vaccine
now,
schedule.
Pocahontas?
You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries.
Oh, God forbid they should have to pay for causing harms that they might cause. Oh, my goodness, you guys. You hear this? Y'all hear this?
Compensation, even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccines.
Isn't that like what the courts are for, right? To
That's
see if there's a
exactly.
causal evidence?
Oh
What?
my gosh, Fletcher, thank you so much. That's exactly what the courts are for. She goes, even if there's no causal evidence, well then let that play out. Let that play out. That's where the expert witnesses would show. That's what the courts would show. That's not for you to foreclose, you nut, you complete nut. That's not you bought and paid for nut. That's exactly what you're right, Fletcher. And then she says anti. I don't think, first of all, I don't think that he's anti. My understanding of Kennedy is that he does have strong views about the harms that some of those things might cause, but I never heard him say nobody should get one.
Right.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Sergeant Vissinger. Amen, Ursula. These statists need to understand that. Same goes for Mi Gente podcast and many others. Now, I'm not familiar with Mi Gente podcast. I'm going to have to check that out. Fletcher, we got to give them a listen. But they are statists. For those who never heard that word, that basically means they're for the status quo. They're just for the state the way it is. They're for the state being in control, not for the people. And it's true. They do need to understand that. And you know what? She has caused so much harm in her position, honestly, because if she has this attitude that she's not willing to listen to what somebody who's innovative, the one thing did you catch this, Fletcher? The one thing you caught throughout this whole confirmation hearing is that the Democrats, okay, and I mean to some extent the Republicans too. I'm not too impressed with the Republicans. I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah, their questions weren't the best.
They're questionable too. Their questions were not the best. It seems like it's again a kind of like okay, cronyism. They're not really asking real questions, okay.
Right.
But the Democrats really got my ire up. They got my Irish up because you are not for innovation. The one thing we can hear is that you are keep things the way they are. Nobody asked him a single question as to how can we make things better. Maybe there was one question, Fletcher, like what would you do? What would you do? I think there was one fair question I can recall that was, okay, how can you make things better? And give him you see, that's what this whole confirmation hearing should have been. What can you do, Kennedy? We're in a terrible state. We have health issues like you wouldn't believe in this country. We're a wealthy country. We're an awesome country. And yet we have some of the highest rates of maternal mortality in the world. We have highest rates of heart disease, obesity. We have people with diabetes. We have so many issues that shouldn't be. How can we fix it? We also have a lot of other kinds of things that could be health related. We had this situation of the mysterious virus of unknown origin from 4 years ago. We have, all kinds of, we have a problem. Did anyone really ask him that really and give him the time to respond? No. And the Democrats were the worst. They are saying, shut it down. That's the whole environment. That's the whole vibe. Their whole mood was shut them down. Shut them down. We don't want you. We think you're a crackpot. We think that, you are a traitor because you switched parties. That's what they're really about. And now you're for Orange Man, and we know Orange Man's bad. So if he likes you, you must be terrible. Like what Sir Glenn says here, when I went to Peru, I got the yellow fever vax, one and done. I wanted it, but some of the other types I'm not so sure about. Love it. Exactly.
Yeah.
People are not anti that thing. Yeah,
When I
exactly.
went to Africa, it was the same thing, yeah.
Yes, and Fletcher went to Africa. I went to Africa. I got the, by the way, that yellow fever one. It hurts so bad. Sir Glenn, do you remember? Oh, that thing goes into your arm, and you're like, I want to die. I want to die.
That.
You don't remember that? Oh, I remember that. It didn't hurt you, Fletcher?
Don't forget to call it the jab, not the.
I'm sorry, the jab or whatever. I got the yellow fever
Processes to make
thing,
easy
and it
to bring
hurts.
junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefits.
You mean like
them.
how you do?
You could change
Probably. Is that how you do?
It's a
Are
lot
you
of
giving us the blueprint? You giving us the blueprint right now, Lizzie?
vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change
Like how
which
y'all
attorneys
did?
are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a
Oh,
lot of
because
ways that you
God
can
forbid.
influence
Oh.
those
There's a lot
future
right there,
lawsuits
Fletcher.
and
There's a lot
pending
right
lawsuits
there.
while you are
Because
Secretary of
she's
HHS.
telling
And I'm
us
asking you
that
to
there is
commit right
already an
now,
injury
you
program,
will not take
but
a
you're
financial
saying
stake
that he
in
could make
every
it
one of
more
those
fair to
lawsuits
the
so
regular
that what
people
you
who've
do
been
as
harmed.
Secretary will also benefit you
Yes,
financially
she's speaking from
down the line.
experience.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's
that I
not
am-
the question. You
Oh!
have said
You're asking me.
No.
You're asking me not to sue vaccine
No,
pharmaceutical
I am
companies.
not.
Yes, you
Oh,
are.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yes, you are, you
No one
liar.
should be fooled.
Yes, you are.
As Secretary of HHS,
Yes, you
Robert
are.
Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines.
And how should, why would he be different than what you guys do? Like you don't look out for your own personal interests and the stuff you do.
His promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids. The bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it.
And what about those of you who make the people have to take them and make millions of dollars? Is that not an issue, you Senator Pocahontas?
I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Off what you do as Secretary of HHS.
Before we go to
You are so full of crap. You didn't do anything good for the people. And Sir Glenn is right. They're supposed to get 5 minutes, and they all went over, it seems. But they manipulated the time and let the actual speaker talk.
Nominee in the Finance Committee this year and in previous administrations.
Yeah, no, and they so this was the one that his relative. I guess this is she's
a piece of
Carolyn
work.
Kennedy or something. Is that her?
She sounds like a piece of work.
So this was her take.
Dear Senators, throughout the past year, people have asked for my thoughts about my cousin, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his presidential campaign.
They all look alike, don't they? Those Kennedys.
And not only because I was serving in a government position as United States Ambassador to Australia, but because I've never wanted to speak publicly about my family members and their challenges.
Right.
Oh, give me
We
a
are
break.
close
She's so...
generation of 28 cousins who have been through a lot together. We know how hard it's been, and we are always there for each other. But now that Bobby has been nominated by President
Now
Trump
he's
as
Bobby.
Secretary of Health.
No,
and Human
girl,
Services,
call him his name,
a
Kennedy.
position that would put him in
Okay,
charge
this is supposed to be
of the health
professional.
of the
Don't call him
American
Bobby.
people.
Don't call
I
him
feel an
Bobby.
obligation to speak out.
Why
Don't call him
The
Bobby.
FDA, the NIH, the
You're
CDC,
full of crap.
and Centers for
You can tell
Medicare
she is a
and Medicaid
friggin' hack.
agencies that are charged with protecting
And it shows on your
almost
face, lady.
everyone else, is an enormous responsibility. and
Like he
one that
doesn't know
Bobby is
that.
Unqualified to fill.
Woo! Look at this
He lacks any
cousin.
relevant government, financial.
She shows
management,
herself
or
as
medical
not
experience.
being credible. Because what
His views
cousin
on
would do that?
vaccines are dangerous and
Yeah.
willfully misinformed.
Look at that.
These facts alone should be disqualifying.
That's some cousin.
But he has personal qualities.
You got some nerve. Thank you, Sir Glenn.
Thank you,
We'll catch
Sir
you.
Glenn.
We'll
Thanks
catch
for
you,
hanging out.
God willing, tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. I like that you check on your auntie. That's nice. Listen, with friends like this, who needs enemies? First of all, you have so little credibility if you're going to come in. Shouldn't the Senate be willing themselves to do their research? That she has to do a video to weigh in. The only reason I would do something like this if I have a cousin or a family member that's going to do something that I think is going to hurt people, if I know it would never come out other than that. You know what I'm saying? In
Right.
other words, if I knew secretly, my cousin is an axe murderer. Nobody knows it. I can't prove it, but I know it. I just know it. And I just feel like, you know what? You're going to put him in charge of the parks department. I got to let you know. Okay? Because at personal risk to myself. But this is,
Right.
first of all, this is not legitimate because it's not at any personal risk to herself. She's saying what all the people on her side believe. She's not saying anything that they didn't know. Secondly, it's not necessary because Bobby's views on, those things we can't mention on the channel, on things that people do to prevent getting diseases and illnesses, that pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money off of. His position on that is well known. He's written several books. Okay, everyone knows that he's given numerous radio interviews, regular interviews, articles, podcasts. I mean, newspaper articles. So her coming on and saying your opinion, so saying, oh, his view on, X, Y, and Z is misinformed and dangerous. Okay, listen, that's your opinion. By the way, it's shared by half the people in the Senate, but that's not necessary for you to tell us. In other words, what you're trying to do is say, let me lend the credibility I think I have by being a family member and let you know I also hate him. Okay,
Right.
see, that just shows on you. That makes you so low. Like you're lower than dirt. Okay, you are a cruddy person. Because again, a family member would just say no comment. That's what a true family member would say, no comment.
We
Okay?
got our president. It's live.
Let's do it.
The time they're not working, they're not very productive, and it's unfair to the millions of people in the United States who are in fact working hard from job sites and not from their home. As federal employees, they must meet a high standard. They're representing our government, they're representing our country. If they don't agree by February 6th to show up back to work in their office, they will be terminated, and we will therefore be
There you go.
government, which is something that the last 10 presidents have tried very hard to do but failed. Most of the people we're talking about have not been going to their federal offices in many, many years, from even before COVID. But they have nevertheless been paid. Some have worked, some haven't worked, and most of the studies say that some have just gone through the motions. We may ask these people to.
Isn't that crazy?
It's awesome because you know what? That's so relevant, Fletcher. Thank you for pulling that up because Kennedy was asked, oh, do you support President Trump's decision to put these people basically on notice, right? To make them be laid off or take the opportunity to get a buyout. And he says, well, and they said, well, you support it then, as though that was negative. Let me tell you, first of all, buyout's not negative. You got bought out. You didn't get fired and thrown on the street like a lot of people are, okay, who don't have government jobs and are treated, fairly under the law where it's at will employment, like many states. They got to go. So why are you special because you work for the government? You're not special because you work for the government. And you're telling me there's people out here trying to get jobs, people who are so upset because I know people like this, Fletcher, they're unemployed, not willingly because they can't get work. And you sit there and say, how dare you make me come back to the office? You work for the government. You work for the government. You can work for a private place that doesn't mind. I have friends who work for remote, but they work for private places that say that's fine with them. If the government says you have to come in, that's your government job. Why are you crying out here acting like there's some injustice to you? You're still paid?
It's just crazy.
It is just crazy. It's just crazy. You know
prove
what?
that they didn't have another job.
Do your
during their
job.
So-called employment with the United States of America, because if they did, that would be unlawful, as you understand. A lot of people are getting paychecks, but they're actually working other jobs. So they'll have to prove that to us that they weren't. In any event, we're
There you
requiring
go.
them to show up to
Yeah,
work or
working
be
from home
terminated.
but working for
We think
somebody
a
else.
very
Exactly,
substantial
because see,
number
they
of
can
people
play a
will not show
game
up
with
to work, and
government
therefore our
and not have
government
any
will get
actual productivity.
smaller and more
In the
efficient. And that's what
meantime,
we've
get
been looking
another
to do for
job where
many,
they can
many
make.
decades, frankly.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. In addition, there was a short-term pause or funding freeze on certain discretionary spending payments, such as government grants, only for us to quickly look at the scams, dishonesty, waste, and abuse
There you
that's
go.
taken place in our government for too long. As was explicitly stated, this in no way affected Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, or
But that
other
was a scam that they were
entitlements that
running
Americans
with.
depend on.
What, Fletcher?
I've made
They were running the
abundantly
scam
clear
saying
from
that
the very
that's what's
first
going to
day that I
affect. Like,
ran
oh, he's
from
freezing
office. That
Social
was a long
Security.
time ago now.
Like, he
Oh,
just
right,
makes
yeah.
sure there's no scams.
2015,
Yeah.
if you think about it, I announced in 2015 and we won in 2016. We did very well in 2020, but we did really well just recently. And I'm restating right now to correct any confusion that the media has purposely and somehow, for whatever reason, created Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid have not been affected by any action we're taking in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
We are merely
Liars.
looking at parts of the big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse. In that
Thank
process,
you.
we identified and stopped $50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for
How crazy is
Hamas.
that?
50
That's
million.
crazy. For
And you know what's
Hamas.
happened to them? They've
Nice.
used them as a method of making bombs. How about that?
I bet. I
We
bet.
stopped an attempt to make an illicit payment for illegal alien resettlement. We canceled $181 million in DEI training contracts. This is just for the training of people in DEI, which has been terminated and completely terminated. And we paused $1.7 billion in unauthorized payments to foreign organizations, including stopping more than $40 million that was on its way out the door to the very corrupt World Health Organization, which has not done its job and
Like
not
he
done it
calls it
properly.
spade is spade.
We also, blocked $45 million for diversity scholarships in Burma. 45, that's a lot of money for diversity scholarships in Burma. You can imagine where that money went.
In
These
Burma,
were the
another country.
and many others. I could
In
stand here all day
Burma.
and tell you things that we found.
Ah.
And we have to find them quickly because we want the money to flow to proper places.
Thank
But
you.
these were
Thank
the
you,
payments
President
and
Trump.
types of payments affected by the temporary freeze, and the American people strongly support these efforts. I talked about
Yes,
it during
we
the
do.
campaign.
We want to
And
save
they
that
voted
money.
for us in record numbers. Every single day, we're now putting America first and fighting to get the most out of every single tax dollar for our great citizens. We've gathered this afternoon to take another historic action. However, in a few moments, the Laken-Riley Act will become the very first bill that I proudly sign into law as the 47th President of the United States.
Wow. 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 May she rest in peace. God bless her soul.
Laken
Amen.
was a brilliant and beautiful 22-year-old nursing student from Georgia, the best in her class. She was always the best. They would say, Laken, how do you do this? And what do you do? They were always asking her questions. She was respected by everybody, even her teachers. They respected her so much. From the time she was in first grade, Laken knew she wanted to spend her time caring for others. That's what she did. To her friends and classmates, she was a light of warmth and kindness in every single room. To her parents and family, she was everything in the world. They've had a miserable period of time. Just after 9 a.m. last February 22nd, Laken went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia, but she was
terrible.
Just never returned. She never came back, did she? Huh? Parents are here, sister.
So
All of her
sad.
relatives. While on her run, Laken was attacked viciously assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and murdered by an illegal alien gang member who was set loose into our country by the last administration. We are deeply honored to be joined today by Lakin's parents, Allison and John, and her sister, Lauren. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So sad.
Wow. It's so sad. Yes.
We were together right after that happened, and it's a tremendous tribute to your daughter, what's taking place today. That's all I can say. But
Yeah.
so sad we have to be doing it at all. Thank you very
It's
much.
That's a
true.
grandpa voice is great.
That
To
is the
Lakin's
grandpa
family, we
voice.
will
God bless
keep
him.
Lakin's memory alive in our hearts forever, everyone's hearts. With
Yes.
today's action, her name will also live forever in the laws of our country. And this is a very important law. This is something
Yes.
that has brought Democrats and Republicans together. That's not easy to do.
Really?
Lakin did
That
it.
is not, he's
Lakin
right.
did it.
Yeah.
America will never, ever forget Lakin Hope Riley. The vicious criminal who murdered Precious Lakin was an illegal alien member of the barbaric Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua.
Go
He
for it. Good
trespassed
job.
across our southern
Tell the
border in
truth.
2022 and was apprehended by Border Patrol, but under the cruel policies of the last administration, instead of being deported as he should have been, he was released into the United States, as were millions of other people, many
Wow.
of them very dangerous people. And you see what we're doing, we're getting them the hell out of here. He was soon arrested again in New York City on charges of endangering a child, but because of New York City's deadly sanctuary policies, as we have in California and many other places, which we're ending, we're going to end them. Released again to reoffend. The Biden administration then provided this illegal alien criminal with a free taxpayer-funded flight from New York to
Wow.
Georgia, where he was
Wow.
arrested yet again, constantly, this time for stealing from a Walmart along with his gang member
Wow.
brother, who was a bad one. Only after being released a third time by the U.S. law enforcement did this cold-blooded criminal go out in that fateful morning hunting for women on whom to prey. That's what he did. He hunted. It was like a
Wow.
hunter. And we're going to show him who the hunter is. This horrific atrocity should never have been allowed to happen.
Yeah, because he
And as
can't say it,
president, I'm
but he
fighting every
did
single day to
reap her.
ensure
We
that
won't say
such a
the right
tragedy
word.
never
You know what we
happens
mean by
again.
that.
We don't
Yeah.
want this to
Vitally.
happen.
He reaped her and then killed her. That's what he means by the brutal attack. Disgusting
And under the
creature. He should be
law-
put to
thank you.
death.
Under the law I'm signing today, the Department of Homeland Security will be required to detain all illegal aliens who have been arrested for theft, burglary, larceny, shoplifting, assaulting a police officer, murder, or any crime that results in death or serious injury. In addition, for the first time ever, this act gives state governments the ability to sue the federal government for immediate injunctive relief
Woo,
if any future
wow.
administration ever again refuses to enforce the immigration laws of the United
Wow.
States. That happened for 4 long years. And that was happening for 4 long years, frightful years. Amazing. You'd say, how can people do this? How can they allow this to happen? How can they
Because
allow
they didn't care.
criminals to pour into our country
They
and
can
then
make
try and
money, and
defend
it's
it?
all
And they're still
philosophy.
trying
It's
to defend it. But they
theology
can't.
of their
That's
part.
why I'm here instead of somebody else, actually. It's the biggest reason. I believe it's the single biggest reason. Inflation was horrible. Many things were horrible during that administration. When you look at what took place in Afghanistan, the way they got out, not that they got out, but the way so many things were horrible. But to me, this was the worst of all. It's a landmark law that we're doing today. It's going to save countless innocent American lives. I want to thank every House Republican, every Senate Republican, as well as the 12 Senate Democrats and the 48 House Democrats who voted to pass this vitally important bill. And many of them are with us today. And I really do appreciate it. And I very much especially appreciate the bipartisan support. The Democrats Really, a big percentage of them came through, and plenty of them wanted to. They probably felt they couldn't, but they really wanted to. They don't understand that would have made them a lot more popular, would have made them a lot better with their people. The ones that didn't are going to be, they're going to be sorry because the people are not
Yeah.
going to forget that they wouldn't sign. This is a perfect, incredible tribute
Yeah.
to an unbelievable
That's
young
true.
lady. We're
Yes.
joined today by many great supporters of our new strong border policies, and they are indeed strong, including Vice President Vance. Thank you, JD. The Secretary, Scott Bessent, who just got approved, by the way. Where's Scott? He just got approved. Scott, I'm very impressed. Got a lot of Democrat votes there. He got a lot of Democrat votes.
Because
I don't know, is that
the
a good thing or
Democrats
bad thing?
didn't have money in the
I'll have
bank
to
for
think
that one.
about that.
They
Secretary of
didn't get
Homeland
paid.
Security is going to be
They didn't get paid to
fantastic.
oppose
I
that
know her
one.
so well.
Not
I
enough.
know it's
Card
probably
was
not
They didn't get
dramatic.
the
because she is
prepaid
a
card for
woman,
that one.
but she is tough. Where is she? Where is Christy?
That's all.
Christy. Great.
I don't
Stand
give
up,
them too
please. You
much
have such
credit.
an important job to do. Really great. Thank you very much. And don't let that look fool you. That look is she's tough, and she cannot stand that she's having to sit here and even listen to this today. Another one who's done a job like nobody that I've seen in a long time. Tom Homan, he's my friend, but he is something special. He's something.
That's true. Okay, applause for him.
Right.
Applause for Homan.
And Tom and Christy, the numbers are unbelievable. What's happened? It's like just shut down. Nobody thought that was even possible. It's just shut down. They showed an area that a year ago had thousands and thousands of people rushing into our country. And today there was nobody there. It was like a beautiful sight. And also Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso. Great guy. Great guy. Thank you, John.
Let's clap for Trump
I also want to
appointees.
thank the bill sponsors, Senator Katie Britt. Katie, thank you, Katie. And Congressman Mike Collins. And Mike, you were fantastic from Georgia. He took this. He loves his state, and he took this very personally. So it's thank you very much, Mike. As well as Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. Chuck is here someplace. Chuck, thank you very much. You look great. And House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, who's a special guy.
Never change.
Special man. And House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mark Green. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. And we have many other congressmen and senators, but I'm not going to introduce because this is about your daughter. This is about something that's so important, and we're going to
God bless her. May she rest in
go
peace.
along.
I'm
Thank
sorry
you
she had to go
also.
out
We
like
have
that.
to say Bert Jones is in the room, and Bert is your lieutenant.
But maybe
governor,
it
and
was
he
like a
on this
martyr.
like
I pray
you
that
wouldn't
God will
believe.
treat
Thank
her
you
like a
very much. I
martyr
see you sitting
because
there.
it
Thank
got
you very
this new
much.
law that will make so many more people hopefully
So
safer.
we have state, local officials, we have law enforcement
She
organizations.
spared other
we
people
have
by suffering
everybody.
that.
Most of them are in the room or represented in the room, and they're incredible people. And I've never seen them come together like they have for this. I've done many of these, not of this kind, but different bills, different passages having to do with many different things from homeland security to inner security to taxes to 50 different items. I've never seen such support as you have today and as your great daughter.
I'm really
has today.
surprised,
So I've never seen
Fletcher. I'm
anything
really
like it.
happy
And
that they did. Maybe
we
they
have
were
to
really
thank your
fearing
daughter
the
for that
people
because
by not
she's going to save
doing
a lot
it.
of lives. She's going to be responsible for saving a lot of lives. So I'd like to
Maybe
just
that's why.
say to the
No, I
angel
think so.
families, I've been with
Maybe
them
they're
and they've been with
afraid.
me from
Good. They should be
2015 when I
afraid.
first
Afraid.
got this
Yeah.
crazy idea in my head to run for president because we can do better as a country. I want to thank so many of the people that are here that have been the angel moms, and we call them angel moms, but they're angel families, fathers and sons and daughters, but they've suffered tremendously like you have for no reason whatsoever. I want to thank Alexis Nungary, the mother of 12-year-old Jocelyn
Oh yeah,
Nungary,
remember that one?
murdered last summer by 2 illegal alien gang members released into the United
Murdered
States
after
by
being
Joe
raped
Biden's
for
open
hours.
border stupid policies.
Oh my gosh.
And
Sad
thank you
to
very
see.
much, Alexis. I
This
want
kind
to
of
thank you
stuff I don't
very
even want
much.
to
We
hear
had
about.
an amazing trip.
12 years old.
It was really special to meet
Two
you
of
and
them
your
shouldn't
family.
even be in the
Appreciate it
country.
very much. So
Would
bad.
never have
So
happened if they
sad we
weren't
have to be
here.
frankly.
You're against me
And
doing the
Jocelyn,
wood
as you
chipper
know, is in
meme
our
that I
hearts
was
as she
doing.
was. An amazing day we had.
I might have you warm up
But it
that
was a
wood
day of
chipper.
celebration of somebody that unfortunately won't
We need that wood
be with
chipper
us,
meme.
but she is with us now. You know that. Here also is Patty Morin, the mother of Rachel Morin, killed 2 years ago by an illegal alien who was let
Look at
into our
that.
country by the last administration's ridiculous, weak policies. Open border. Can you imagine?
Mm-hmm.
When I heard
Just
open
insane.
border,
You
I
don't
said,
leave
"Oh,
your
that's
house
terrible. They're
open.
going to release their
Yeah.
No, you
prisons all over
don't.
the
You don't leave
world.
your
They're going
house
to
door
release their
open, but they
prisons
do that
into
for our
country." That's
country.
exactly what happened. Patty is joined by Rachel's brother, Michael, Rachel's daughter, Clementine, and sister-in-law,
Garbage
Shannon. Thank you all
policy.
for being here. We appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. With us as well is the loving family of Kayla Hamilton, a 20-year-old girl murdered in July 2022 by the MS-13 illegal alien gang member who is violent,
Wow.
vicious, and they knew it, and they didn't do anything about it. And I want to
No.
thank you to Kayla's mother, Tammy, and her grandmother, Kathy, and her
That's sad.
stepfather, Jeremiah, very much. And finally, I want to thank others who have also suffered this horrible scourge that goes on
Yes.
with young people being killed and other people
It's
too.
right to call it a
Young people,
scourge because that's
largely
what it
young
is.
people being killed. Thank you to
They
Scott
don't
Root, the
care
father
about the
of
young.
Sarah Root, killed at 21 years of age. Think of that, 21 by an illegal alien. Shouldn't have been in our country, would have never been in our country if we were here. What a
Yeah.
sad thing. To each of these
That's way
angel
too many.
families, we love you and we stand in awe of your courage and your strength. It's the toughest thing anybody has to go through. Many of the angel families here today were betrayed by the last administration and with its
They certainly
heartless
were.
and foolish and really very, very
May they all
arrogant
rest in
and
peace.
very,
God bless their
very
souls.
dumb policies.
Thank you.
Policies
Thank you,
that aren't
President
even
Trump, for saying
believable
that.
when you talk about common sense. I say we're the party of common sense, but the Democrats also, they have plenty of common sense. And that's why so many are here today and so many supported what we're doing. The very government
Thank you.
that was supposed to protect their daughters instead opened our borders and transported the world's most dangerous criminals straight into their communities.
Mm-hmm.
They came from prisons and jails and insane asylums and mental institutions from all over the world, not just South America.
Right.
People think South America. They come from all over the world. They come from every continent. And they came here by plane and they were loaded onto buses and they were driven right
Wow.
up to our border and they drove right
Wow.
through the border and nobody even said a
Doggone
word
it.
to them. And in those buses and those cars and those trucks were some of the meanest criminals anywhere in the world. As of last September, 425,000 illegal alien criminals were roaming free, including 13,099 convicted illegal alien murderers, of which about almost
Wow.
50% killed more than one person. And they were roaming all over the country in our farms, in our
Can you
cities.
believe that?
Under the Trump administration, we're moving with urgency and speed to
Wow.
get these vicious and violent criminals the hell out of our country and to restore law and order to our suburbs, our cities, and our towns. And we're going to do it with Tom and with Christy and with all of the people that are working so hard on this. This week, compared to a comparable time a year ago, think of this. The number of illegal border crossers has already fallen by more than 100%.
Oh,
And
wow.
because the
insane.
election was coming, they
That's
started
great.
getting a little bit tougher on the border. They tried to follow
Yeah.
our policies and they did much better, but it still was horrible. The numbers were still horrible. So that's 100% over those. They only did it because of the election. So they knew what they
Yeah.
were doing was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And
knew.
those who do cross the border, and you're seeing that every time, all you have to do is turn on your television set or pick up a newspaper, or read any form of new media, because we have a lot of new media today, fortunately, that's letting the word get out. But they're watching these people be captured and removed from our country. ICE
Good.
arrests have risen by 15 times in just a short period.
Wow.
And over the past 8 days, the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol, we can never forget Border Patrol. Those people, I've gotten to know so many of them. Our border czar, as you remember, never went to the border and never made a phone call. She was the border czar. She never made one phone call. They went to the
Wow.
heads of border. They went to the heads of ICE. Did you ever get a call? No. And she admitted she never made one call, but she was the border czar. And that's exactly what our border was all about. The heroes of ICE have arrested thousands and thousands of illegal alien criminals, including hundreds of gang members, traffickers, child predators,
Man.
terrorists, and murderers. For the first time in history, we're loading dangerous and illegal aliens into military aircraft and flying them back to the places from which they came.
Take them back.
You probably read about Colombia 2 days ago. They said, no,
We
we're not
did.
taking them. I said, we're going to take them. You're going to take them. You're going to like it too. You're going to take it.
You're going to take it. You're going to like it too. That's our president. He said you're going to take it. You're going to like it too.
People that are in shackles. I said, well, but the people that are in shackles are murderers. They're drug lords.
Yeah.
They're rapists.
Yeah.
They're very tough people. They make our criminals look like very nice people. That's about the only thing that comes out of this. And I say, could you imagine you're a pilot on the plane and you have your co-pilot and you're sitting there and you have
like sitting
150
ducks.
people, no shackles, and they like to murder people. This is not a good, this would not be a good
These
flight.
people are insane.
So
no, it's
actually,
Con
Colombia
Air.
apologized to us profusely within an hour based on something I said, meaning you're going to pay tariffs like nobody's ever paid tariffs.
Like nobody's
before,
ever
they,
paid.
They
there you go.
To terminate his position. They're essentially Congress met.
That could be like a new T-shirt, right?
But they actually said they were
You're
going to
pay
send
tariffs
the
like you never
presidential
paid
plane
tariffs.
to pick up these criminals and to bring them because they didn't want to inconvenience us or have us do a second flight. And that's what they did. And I appreciate it. And I do appreciate the people of Colombia are wonderful people. And the representatives really acted well. And I appreciated they took back that tough talk. But, you know, we may have tough talk from others, but it's not going to mean anything. They're going to all take them back.
There you go. Come on now. Come on. God be praised.
Take it back and they're going to like it.
God be praised. Take it back or leave them over the ocean. Which one do you want? Leave them in a neighboring country.
And Homeland Security to
let them walk back.
The 30,000 person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back. So we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of. Today's signings bring us one step closer to eradicating the scourge of migrant crime in our communities once and for all. And it was just it's just an unforced error that we even have to be doing this. Now we need Congress to provide full funding for the complete and total restoration of our sovereign borders, as well as financial support to remove.
Without borders, you don't have a country.
Aliens.
That's like basic
And
knowledge, right?
Illegal alien killers, criminals.
Yeah, these are the
levels
worst
that
of the
nobody's
lot.
ever seen before. And
He's
you would have
right.
known that.
No one's ever
and
seen
you were
before.
there when I said it. I said everybody that's bad is going to be thrown. If you look at Venezuela, Venezuela's crime is down 77% because they're taking their gang members, their prisoners,
over
their
here,
drug dealers, their drug lords. They've shipped them all into the United States. Many other countries, their crime is way down, and our crime is
way
not
up.
doing well. But we're going to have it do really well very soon, and we're shipping all these people back where they came from. And now, before I sign the Laken-Riley Act into law, I would like to ask Laken's really incredible mother, I've gotten to know. A very sad day, I got to know her. But this is an amazing tribute to an amazing young person. And if you could come up, Allison, and say a few words, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Oh, God bless this president. God bless this woman and this family.
Thank you.
Wow.
We would like to thank Senator Katie Britt for her diligent bipartisan work to get this bill through the Senate. We'd also like to thank Congressman Mike Collins for his unwavering passion and for leading on the Lake and Riley Act from the start. Our family will forever be grateful for the prayers of the people across our nation and for helping to get this legislation into law. We also want to thank President Trump for the promises he made to us. He said he would secure our borders and that he would never forget about Laken. And he hasn't. He's a man of his word. We trust that he will fight for the American people.
It's like,
Wow, that's so sad.
Most importantly, I want to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Onion Ninjas.
Because without his sacrifices,
I know.
Laken's story would have ended on that horrific day that she was taken from us. But because of him, we can continue living knowing that we will see Laken again.
Wow.
There's no amount of change that will ever bring back our precious Laken. Our hope moving forward is that her life saves lives. We're so thankful that her passion for helping others and her legacy for doing good in the name of Jesus Christ will carry on. Thank you.
Wow, that's pretty sad. I mean, it's hard to go after that because thank goodness only Trump cares enough to even have come up with something like this, right? And to follow through the Lincoln Riley Act.
They were pushing this
To do what's oh, really?
Yeah, which is basically, I mean, literally, I mean, when you become when you start applying to become a U.S. citizen, or even a resident, or even a visa, you know, there's a saying you can't break the law in any way. So it's
Right.
insane that
Yeah.
people who break the law are like, oh, you know, it's fine. That's like literally.
Oh, look, he did it. Good job. Good job, Trump. You can't just catch and release and let them go out into the country, do whatever, and not follow the law, and not have them be vetted on top of it. He's giving out his pens, Fletch. I love it. He gives out the pens. I love it. I'll take one.
I don't think this is appropriate time, really. I respect that, but I don't think it's appropriate. I can just tell you government is doing very well, and we're cutting way back, but this is not the appropriate time. Thank you.
Do you know what they said, Fletcher?
No, I couldn't hear it.
I couldn't hear what the question was. I wonder if we can try to hear it.
I don't think this is appropriate time, really.
So there's something, a quick question or something like that. But yeah, that was president signing that, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
That was pretty amazing. But
Yeah,
do you
it's
want to
amazing.
hear, you know, your cousin, uncle, your crazy uncle?
Okay, yeah. Let's hear the crazy
Talk
uncle.
That's what this was when you were asking me, what are you laughing about? This is what I was laughing about.
Despite spending, as you indicated, 2 or 3 times as much per capita on healthcare as other nations, we have 85 million people who are uninsured, underinsured. We have all kinds of chronic illnesses. Our life expectancy is lower than other countries. And for working class people in this country, they are living 6, 7 years shorter lives than the top 1%. We got a problem, okay? And I'm going to suggest some ideas that I think can remedy that. Last year, the insurance industry in this country made over $70 billion, while at the same time, 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. Do you agree with me that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people?
Oh, here we go. Everybody with their pet projects. As a human right. Healthcare as a human right is not going to help us. Look at Canada.
Yes or no?
Look at the UK.
Healthcare a human right. Is healthcare a
No.
human right?
How can healthcare be a human right? Common sense.
Human right. Yeah. I would say it's different.
How could that be?
because
How could that make sense?
With free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer.
Exactly.
You are now taking from the pool. And so are you getting
Exactly.
Love to talk for an hour with you. We got.
Oh, but no, you don't have time. That's their tactic. Fletcher, that's their tactic. Every time you start to actually answer a question that makes them look bad, they don't have time. Then they start bloviating. The word for today, put it up. Bloviating. Bloviating. That's the word for today. Bloviating. That's the word. Because it's like, let me just, talk big, blow a lot of hot air, and just impress you with words. One of them had the nerve to say Kennedy was doing word salads. First of all, I love it how leftists take talking points from conservatives. They have no new ideas. We created the word salad for what Kamala was doing during the election, which really was. Kennedy has not. He's just maybe not the most direct answer of questions, but he doesn't say a bunch of words that when you put them together, you have no idea what he means. You actually do. He actually answers the question. He's just maybe meanders to it a little bit. Then he has to be careful because he can't just say what he thinks because they're going to take it out of context, as they have been doing with his past words. So he's trying to be careful about how he's saying things, but still he's come forward and told you what he says. He doesn't start every question with, I was born in the middle class. But what this guy is doing is bloviating. He wants to put his pet project forward of universal health care, which I'm sure lines his pockets, Fletcher. Because Sanders, if anything, he's about making that money. This man has been in public service for longer than we've been alive. And he is a multi-millionaire by making just a civil servant's salary, by making a salary of someone who just works in, Senator or Congress. How is he? Basically, I think he's a billionaire, they said. And I don't think it's family money either. I think it's from whatever he's doing that's making this money. And now he's talking about, universal health care. Why should Kennedy have to say that he's going to sign off to something that would obviously be a conversation that the whole nation would have to have? Right. Why would you want him to say that's not his job if he's the head of, health? He's not, his job is to help your health. Like he said, if you've been smoking your whole life and then you're saying, look, pay for my lung cancer surgery. Wait, hold up. Wait a minute now. We do have compassion and care. But maybe a better thing would be to encourage people not to smoke in the first place, or maybe to make better choices. I'm not saying that we condemn people who do it. It's a fair choice. It's your choice. It's legal. But maybe we want to explore if this is going to cause you health problems that we all as taxpayers would then be responsible for when you start asking for universal health care to pay for your very expensive surgery to take up the choices you made. That's on you. We're not saying we don't care. And maybe we would do it, but it's a long conversation. It's not something that Sanders should be asking Kennedy during a confirmation hearing, just so you can grandstand for people, at home, or your supporters who want something that's going to help them. By the way, it's not a good thing. There's people who have universal health care and they say they spend up to 50%. Doesn't Finland have it? But they spend 50% of their money in taxes. That's not necessarily something all Americans want to do. We may not want to, we're not the same. Those are tiny countries that are typically homogeneous. We don't have the ability to do what everybody else does. England might do it. They're also a tiny fraction of our landmass, a tiny fraction of what we are. People in Canada have it, and they come over here for their health care. They have videos on this. People sneaking over here to get health care from Canada.
So I guess it's Finland, 68 or something of their gross wages.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money, okay, for that benefit, which it may not be good for us. So you are such an old horse dog sitting up here with the same old bone, the same old hay you've always had, trying to get him to eat it, to bite. And he says no, and then you act like he's obfuscating or evading. And then when he's trying to explain why he feels the way he does, you talk over him. and act like he's not answering the question. These people are the enemy of the people, Fletcher. If I'm sorry, as I said for an hour ago, please consider, if you are a Democrat, if this is the kind of people you want to support. I'm a big fan. I know Fletcher is not, of third party candidates. I'm a fan of those. Some of those people are independent. You know, shout out to Cornel West. But I'm not for these Democrats, because look at how they behave. If you watch this confirmation process and you still are for them, please consider why. Is it just tradition? Is it some kind of superstition? Is it some kind of fear? Because you can see these people are not for you. Now, we never did finish, Fletcher, with why we think the Republican questions were not much better, but they were better, but they weren't much better. In my opinion, the Republican questions were either the same as the Democrats, but they had to pretend to be nice,
Right.
or they lacked any kind of critical thinking, or they were just, let me just throw softballs at him. We don't want that either. We want you to actually question the nominee. Please ask him, how will you make this world that we live in, America, United States, better? What are your plans? At the end of this, if I don't have a good sense of what plans he has, then you guys failed. And they did fail. All of you failed. You got Pocahontas there, who's disgusting. She's disgusting. You have Sanders, who I have more respect for. I like Sanders. But this was a terrible line of questioning. All you're doing is trying to push your same. He is a commie. I mean, come on. I think he would probably admit to that. Oh, I'm one too? Okay, maybe. I'm not a commie. I'm a commie sympathizer sometimes, because I like Sanders. I think he's sincere, but I think his ways don't work, and he won't admit they don't work, and he won't admit that he's a hypocrite, because he makes more money by being in government than I think he could have made actually working for a living. That's what these people, they don't actually start or do anything innovative. None of them try to do anything that they don't have to be successful. They can just show up. That's what it means to work in government. You just show up, do the minimum, and you get paid, and then you get connections that might make you more money than you could, beyond your wildest dreams. And we're supposed to respect that. You know what? I wouldn't even mind it if you did enough for us, but you don't. You won't even do a little bit. And then you actually obfuscate and obliterate and, and get in the way of people trying to do something. I mean, gosh, do one, help or get out the way. But no, they won't even do that. They're going to then stand in the way, make it hard for the person to do something. But you know what? If you're watching this, the Republicans, you didn't do much either. At the end of the day, when we finish watching this confirmation, we should know what is Kennedy's plan. I mean, honestly, I couldn't even vote after this. I vote for him because I think he's a good guy. I think he has good ideas. I think he might be a little bit out there, a little zany. Okay, he's a little unconventional, but I don't mind unconventional, because why? I like change. The way things are now are so bad. Give him a chance. I think he could do it. I'd have trust in President Trump's thinking about this. I think he'd be a great pick. But at the end of the day, Fletcher, I wouldn't even know, really, to be honest with you. I'd probably vote for him, but I would be uncomfortable that I didn't get to hear, honestly, anything about him. What I got to hear was Pocahontas bloviating, Sanders bloviating, the black guy from Georgia bloviating, the other one's bloviating, the one with the red hair who only wants to talk about late-term killing, deleting of children, bloviating, which is not a healthcare issue. People are not dying because of that. They're not. They're dying because of all of the issues that we face in terms of our general health disease. Heart disease is one of the highest with women and men. We have children who have obesity, who can set themselves up for a lifetime of harm. Those are the issues that I want to see what he's going to do with, and they wouldn't give him a chance to even answer that, Fletcher.
No,
They just
you
want to
can't.
talk their talking points. I'm done
But
with
this
these people. I can't even with these people.
I guess this was part of this also, this is the 1 seat thing.
Next one is no vax, no problem. Now you I would say a majority of the people are pro-choice. There's a strong minority who are pro-life. A year and a half ago, you went to New Hampshire, running for president, gave a speech, and you talked about government should not tell a woman what she can do with her own body. That's her choice. Now, I think everybody on that side is pro-life. I think everybody here is pro-choice. I have never seen any major politician flip on that issue quite as quickly as you did when Trump asked you to become HHS secretary. Tell me why you think people should have confidence in your consistency and in your word when you really made a major U-turn on an issue of that importance in such a short time.
Senator, I believe, and I've always believed, that every abortion is a tragedy.
But you told the people of New Hampshire that it was their right. All right, let me do a last question.
You never have a right to do wrong. Wait a minute, let him
I think the
finish.
gist of what you're trying to say today is you're really
Bloviating.
pro-vaccine. You want to ask questions.
Bloviating.
You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your
Why should he be pro
organization is
anything?
making.
Why
not only
can
that,
he? Yeah.
What's the issue with one being? Is it all? Is everything? I mean,
So you got to be one way or the other. Yeah.
Right. I'm pro steak, but if you put a watermelon steak when I order a beef steak, we might have some issues.
Right. Exactly. I mean, why should he have to say that he has to be unequivocal? Yeah. Why does he have to be unequivocal in his support one way or the other? He's saying, let's question.
Remember, you were saying.
Yeah, exactly. Listen.
It doesn't matter what.
Listen. Exactly. Democrats are like mob thinking. They're like beehives. They're worse than that. They're like friggin', ants jumping around together. They're like lemmings going off a hill. They don't have the ability to have critical, independent thought. If they do have it, they suppress it because they have a greater value of just us being a mob in lockstep with each other. Even though they have different, talking points, they have the same talking points. They might have different motivations, right? Sanders still talking about universal health care. I mean, go sit down, old man. Go sit down talking about this like you give a crap about anybody but yourself. Stop playing games. I mean, I like him, but I don't like the way that he acts. But it's like saying, Kennedy, you can't have your own thinking about this, and you can't have more than one way of looking at it at any time. But you know what Aristotle says? Aristotle says the mark of an educated mind is being able to hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. You can say, look, sometimes it's okay. I can see you taking that substance that might prevent disease, which we can't say on this platform. And I also see there's real problems with it. That's why the little onesies say, you know what? If you don't have one of those things, it's not a problem. There's many people who can do that and they don't have to worry about it. Let it be something that we look more into. Let's not be lockstep about it. But if you have gotten one, maybe that's fine too. Maybe we don't have to have a one size fits all formula. And as far as
it's all onesie.
A one size, yeah, that's right. Onesie, one size fits all onesies. And you know what? Everybody is different. That's why it's funny because Pocahontas, she was talking about, oh, you want to expand the injury program. Oh, funny, you should say that. So you're admitting that there are injuries from those substances that you take to prevent disease. Yes, there are. They exist. They're called VAERS. That's where you go to report it, and they do get money. You're saying you don't want him to, to maybe expand it, but that just gives you that begs the question. So that means there is a problem. So look, this person, these onesies are cute. They're saying, I'm not having that injection or whatever, and I don't have a problem. I'm not afraid. Why not have? I thought these people were for diversity. I thought they were for diversity. I thought you're for diversity. So listen, you're saying every child has to be treated the exact same way? Every family has to be the exact same way? Every medical program is the exact same? Where do we ever have that? If you go in for, some kind of cold, are they going to treat your cold the same way they treat my cold? Wouldn't there be variations? Maybe, you know what? Yours is more progressed, or maybe you're a bigger size or a smaller size. Maybe you have an allergic reaction to this. We have to give you that. Do we not have differences in how we treat all medical cases? But not when it comes to this. God forbid. God forbid it should be different when it comes to this one thing. Is that for the people? Or is that for the pockets of people who are in these things? Like Lady Jen says, we need term limits. We need term limits because that's an excellent point she's raising, because that's how you can get at this corruption. Because these politicians make money. They make side deals. Bernie Sanders is a multimillionaire, has only worked in government, I think, his whole life. Never had a real job. Has always been showing up. Never had a real job. Never had a real job. I'm not going to call that a real job. He goes in there and he can make millions. Millions.
You're, you're so outraged. The mic is actually trying to collect your words because your words are so loud. You're like literally going nuts about this. The mic is actually costing you some.
Listen. Okay, you know what? Okay, listen. I'm gonna get a hold of myself, Fletcher. Lady Jen, everyone listening, listen. Ursula can have self-control. You know what? I'm gonna talk in a more ladylike fashion. Okay, I have self-control. Let me engage my femininity here. I won't be outraged. I'm just going to say, Lady Jen is correct, because term limits would be a situation in which someone would come in and do a job as a citizen, taking on the responsibility of service and helping the community, but not be there so long that outside interests, lobbyists, corporate interests, and others that are entities that the people did not elect can talk to them and get into their heads and their pockets, make it easier for them to get elected, and to make it so that they are now conflicted with what they advocate for. Okay? So Lady Jen is correct. Term limits are desperately needed. When someone's been in office that many years, when they are able to accept donations for campaigns because they are running for election, there's a real hazard. Now, this is very different, in my opinion, when it comes to judges, although some are saying judges should have term limits. But when I think about judges that are appointed, I think, okay, well, they're not supposed to take campaign contributions, so maybe there's a better shot. But then again, you have seen where some judges are actually able to get certain perks. So we might need to look at that as well. Okay? But the point is, the Constitution does say for the Supreme Court that they are, to be there for life. But there's nothing that says that for Sanders, for Pocahontas, and the rest of them. Why do they get to go on and on and on and be fully entrenched and be elected over and over again for years and years out with no new ideas? There was no innovation on this panel. None of them like Kennedy because he actually is an entrepreneurial type mindset, which means he's looking to see, what can you do? What can I do differently? Let's play around with ideas. These people have never had a new idea. They have the same old idea. Sanders is going to be pushing universal health care. The other one's going to be talking about deleting babies until they're born. And that's what this one other guy was saying. What a tragedy that you can't delete the baby until it's born. Don't you know that sometimes they have to? No, they don't. No, they don't. Because if the lady has given birth to the baby's born. Okay, you don't have to take it home with you. You can leave it at the fire station, leave it in the hospital. Trust me, there's a lot of couples who would want them. We'll take it. We'll take him or her. But you don't have to delete at that point, if your health is so compromised, you're telling me this procedure saves you because I have to delete it? No, it's the same process of deleting it. It's the same process from my understanding. Please tell us in the comments, please, because I have read about this many times, and I've told on this channel my experience in a women's healthcare clinic that did those deletions. So I'm not ignorant of this. Okay, I'm not ignorant. I'm not naive. I know how these things are done. I was there. I know that the same process, okay, from talking to doctors, nurses, and those who do them, is the same process of deletion as giving birth when it's that late. It's the same. Okay, it's the same. So if you need the baby out of you because otherwise your health is going to be injured, then you have it. It's the same thing. You can do it a C-section or you can kill it. Okay, so don't give me that. Stop it. You're liars. Okay, that's your same little Trump thing. You want to keep saying that same thing over and over again. Okay, that's all Kamala had to offer people. I can let you delete all the way. We can delete without any kind of boundary. Most Americans don't care for that. We don't want that. Most Americans want the ability to do it to some extent, but they're not into these late term. And that's all he talked about at this thing. That one senator Fletcher, instead of letting Kennedy basically tell us what is your plan, sir. Okay, I'm getting triggered again. I better just go. Lady Jen is right. I'm trying to be ladylike here. Lady Jen is correct. They are sporting and spouting eugenics, not deletion. Okay. But I can't say the word on the channel. Apparently it gets flagged. We still might be flagged today, you guys. If we don't show up, that's why. But it is.
Who knows what's going to happen?
We don't know what's going to happen after this rant, but it is eugenics. Fletcher, this is your fault letting me have the microphone and not taking away my coffee.
You're like
It's your fault. I knew you would do this to me.
I'm just, you're like talking to the thing, and I'm like, if you're talking to the screen, you might as well just go on live. We can continue doing our work while we watch live together.
Well, that didn't happen, but I think Lady Jen has made a point, and this is one of the reasons I'm not for deletion as well, apart from the fact that it's killing a human being. But eugenics is how we started this whole thing. Margaret Sanger was firmly for it, and anybody who says she was not is a liar. Okay, they're either deluded or they are telling falsehoods, because she was. Her own words say that. Her own way of acting did that, and she started Planned Parenthood. She started this whole thing. She started the push for doing those deletions. Now, of course, deletions have existed from the time we've had people, probably, right? Maybe not from the very beginning with Adam and Eve, but certainly some point. But the formalization of it, the push of it, the trying to make it part of the, commonhood and make it seem like accepted, Sanger was really firmly for that. And she was also pushing contraception. She was really for that, and for the sake of having a more master race, because her first target was Negroes. She said that. Okay. And because it's so unacceptable now, most people think that's very racist. They have tried to whitewash Sanger. And they've tried to say, I've had fights with people. Oh, that's not what she said, or it's taken out of context. Let the lady speak for herself. Read her words. Read her words. She said it. She wrote it. She was unabashed about it. And that's where we got it from. She was a racist. Okay. And she's behind this. Don't think you can take it apart that easily. Those same ideas are the same things that are motivating us today, but you don't want to admit it. And we have more Black people doing this than anybody. So she was successful. She was successful, Fletcher, because something like 1 in 2 Black babies, 1 in 2 are taken out. Okay. That's where they put these places. They put these agencies, these so-called clinics in our neighborhoods. And that's why God bless Bevelyn Williams, because she went and prayed outside those places, and President Trump pardoned her. And God bless her, because think about it. Everyone thinks of us Black people as a problem. They think that we only bring harm. And they forget people like Dr. Benjamin Carson, who, separated the very first Siamese twins in this country. He did that from a poor mom who was like a teenager when she had him, out of I think she might have been married. No, it was out of wedlock, but I think the man she was with was married to someone else. He tells it in his story, With These Hands, a beautiful book. If you've never read it, you should read it, or watch the HBO documentary of his life. He actually worked in the Trump administration last time. And if he had been deleted, he would never have been able to do that surgery and be the first one in this country to do it. And people learned from him. He's an amazing man. There's many, many such stories, many, many of them. Many of us would not be here. Okay. Gifted hands. Okay. There's many of them who would have been deleted. We're not all problems. What you have, though, is that when you start deleting people, you're going to have you're going to have a kind of hatred of life. You're going to have a hatred of family values. And that's what you see in the Black community. A lot of us have been harmed by these Democrats with their welfare, with their victim mentality, and other things that have made us horrible. People don't realize, Fletcher, there was a time in which blacks graduated from high school at the same level as whites. Now we don't. We had blacks at one point that were born in wedlock at the same level as whites. But then it all changed with the so-called war on poverty. Don't get me this talking, okay? This lady wants to delete us, and she sadly won, and it has made the community not better but worse. My grandmother had like 8, 9 children, maternal grandma. My paternal one too, okay? But guess what? None of them went to jail. All of them finished high school. All of them own their own homes. No kidding. Blacks, yes. With a mixture that we are, Black, Native American, Cuban, all of us. But guess what today? After the so-called, let me help you, my nieces and nephews can't say that. They got drug issues, jail, not finished school, kids out of wedlock, and deletions of their kids. Okay, my grandmas didn't delete their kids, and their kids grew up strong and healthy and contributing to society. So stop it, Democrats, with your nonsense. And that's what you want to talk to Kennedy about in his confirmation. Are you going to support deleting kids to the end? Come on, that's not what we care about. We have shown that the mandate was clear. If that's what people wanted, we would have picked Kamala. Okay, I'm out.
For $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
That was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
Are you supportive of this onesie? Are you supportive of this onesie? This onesie? Did you agree with this onesie?
Senator, I'm in support of onesies.
Are you supportive of this onesies? That's all we want to know, Senator. The onesies.
I mean, talk about being a caricature of yourself. Talk about being a character of yourself. But Fletcher, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I appreciate you. This has been good. I think this shows how much work is cut out for us in the next few years.
It is. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody who joined, Lady Jen, and everybody who's watching this. Thank you so much for everybody hanging out, especially on Twitter. You guys are Chads. On Twitter, I think we have like 70 people checked us out on Twitter. So we really appreciate it. We love you too, Lady Jen.
We love you, Lady Jen, and everybody.
This was completely impromptu. We were just on our computers, and this is what happened. So thank you for your support.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
Ave Maria, Maria, rogai por nós, Santa Mãe de Deus.